Who's winning EuroBasket? Did Fox deserve his new contract? The NBA schedule for next season. And many more things you'll find out in the new EuroBasket video. The opening day schedule is out, and that's always a special day when the NBA gives us two top-tier matchups. The Oklahoma City Thunder, hosting the Houston Rockets, the second favorite for the title according to odds. And you know what's most interesting here? Oklahoma legend Kevin Durant will be watching the championship ceremony, the raising of the banner, all of it achieved by OKC without him. Now the team has a new face, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And the second game, a classic. A battle between two of the best players of the generation. LeBron James versus Stephen Curry. Lakers versus Warriors. Which also means Luka Dončić, Jimmy Butler, and Draymond Green will be on the floor. We'll see all that on October 21st. The Christmas Day schedule is also out. As tradition, it starts in the East, with a game at Madison Square Garden, where the two strongest teams in the conference, New York and Cleveland, will face off. And that's it from the East, really. Staunton and Indiana have fallen apart. Milwaukee isn't as good, and it's still too early to get excited about Orlando or Detroit. The West, though, gives us four matchups. San Antonio, Victor Wembanyama versus Oklahoma and Chet Holmgren. I think the main focus here will be that duel, with all due respect to Shai and Jalen Williams.
Then Houston Lakers game, Scoot Henderson versus LeBron James, another clash of iconic players of the era. State versus Dallas game, Stephen Curry versus Klay Thompson. Rehearsal was an incredible game with a spectacular finish. Threads when Steph shouted, "You should have stayed here," expecting something similar this season. To wrap it up, Denver versus Minnesota. Sent years, a bit of a rivalry has been building here. By the way, speaking of Dallas, this will be the first Christmas for the #1 draft pick Cooper Flagg, who many call a once-in-a-generation talent. We just released a separate video about him, breaking down his strengths and weaknesses and who he reminds me of in the NBA. It's a big, interesting piece. Check it out if you missed it, and tell us in the comments what you think about Flagg's talent.
Back to NBA news, and specifically the Boston Celtics. Couple of interesting storylines here. First, because of Jason Tatum's injury and some roster reshuffling, the Celtics won't be playing on Christmas for the first time in 10 years. But here's the bigger one. Thanks to some very smart moves this summer by GM Brad Stevens, Boston just saved a jaw-dropping $301 million. Their luxury tax bill down to about $5 million, and it could drop even further if they manage to move Anthony Simons. Problem is, right now, there's just no market for him.
Of course, they still had to spend.
Boston signed head coach Joe Mazzulla to a brand new multi-year contract. No details yet, but my guess, 4, maybe 5 years, worth around $80 million total. Let me know in the comments, has Mazzulla proven himself as a good coach? Because I still have my doubts. And speaking of extensions, multiple NBA execs say Austin Reeves will stay with the Lakers, signing a multi-year deal worth over $30 million per year. He's a free agent next summer, but the Lakers, no plans to trade him. Last season, 20 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists. 46% from the field, 38% from deep. At age 27, in his prime, $30 million a year sounds about right. Yeah, FIBA wasn't his best showing, but hey, just a one-off. Lakers fans, relax. He's not asking for a max, and he's staying. Meanwhile, Jimmy Butler is just vibing, full summer mode, barely even paying attention to who's on his team.
I'm on my way to being great, man. Robin, he gonna robbing the shit out of this motherfucker this year. Batman gonna do his job. Draymond is Draymond a Batmobile, you know. He like the one that gotta get us where we need to go. He do a little bit of everything. Shoot them things. Somebody shooting at us, he rolling over, protecting us, you know what I'm saying? Who else we got? I don't know. Golden State though, we on the way. We on the way, I'll tell you that. Buddy was just here in China too. I don't know what the fuck for. But Buddy got some love out here, so.
Speaking of who else might be on the team, insiders report Golden State has shown interest in Josh Giddey and even considered a possible trade involving Jonathan Kuminga. But according to insider Sergey Valiev, such a trade is basically impossible. Why? Because of the NBA CBA rules. The money just doesn't match up. Also, the Warriors have verbal agreements with Al Horford, DeAnthony Melton, and Gary Payton. They'll sign them once the Kuminga situation is resolved. Kuminga's got two options: take Golden State's offer, 2 years, $45 million, and waive his no-trade clause so they can move him mid-season, or play 1 year for $8 million and leave as a free agent. Not much leverage there. He'll probably take the offer. As for Luka Dončić, extension signed, money ready to spend. Recently, he bought a Rimac Nevera hypercar worth $2 million. But even with a ride like that, Luka still faces everyday problems, like someone parking so close he couldn't even open his door. He had to call special services to handle it. Rich people problems, especially when your car only has one door. In the meantime, the San Antonio Spurs and De'Aaron Fox are extending the contract for 4 years, for which the player will earn $229 million. Fox moved to the Spurs from Sacramento during the year of last season as a result of a three-way trade. With the Spurs, he only managed to play 17 games, in which he scored almost 20 points and gave almost 7 assists. With the acquisition of Fox, many believed that San Antonio should make the playoffs. Next to him was the experienced Chris Paul, the eventual Rookie of the Year Stephon Castle, and of course, the franchise player, Victor Wembanyama. But in reality, it turned out differently. The Paul-Wemby duo was destined to play together only 5 games, 3 of which were lost. Then, the league was shaken by the news about thrombosis in Wemby, and he was out for the rest of the season. And Fox also didn't manage to finish the regular season, since he underwent surgery on his pinky. He still has a year left on his old contract, and the new one comes into effect in the summer of 2026. The topic of Fox's extension can be debated. Firstly, Bleacher Report included him in the top 5 most overrated NBA players. Secondly, and this is even more important, in the team, in addition to Fox at the guard position, there's Stephon Castle, and chosen this summer with the second pick, Dylan Harper. The question arises, how to fully utilize all 3 without it being at the expense of one of them. The answer to this question will have to be found by head coach Mitch Johnson. And for now, De'Aaron Fox is making a difference, grabbing a solid contract, which in the future could become a burden. In any case, it'll be very interesting to follow the Spurs in the upcoming season.
Over the past year, rumors have been actively appearing about the possible departure of Giannis from Milwaukee. They were there at the beginning of the summer, but then the club took a step to strengthen itself. They released the injured Damian Lillard, who in any case will not play next season, and with the money that opened up, they signed former Indiana player Miles Turner. And they also made a number of targeted signings. For example, Cole Anthony, whose contract was bought out by the Bucks after his trade from Orlando. The dissatisfaction from this club decreased, but the other day, Shams reported earlier that the Greek Freak, who is now with the Greek national team preparing for EuroBasket, continues to assess the prospects. Giannis is thinking over whether Milwaukee will manage to win a championship with the current roster. On the one hand, he has spent 12 years of his career in Milwaukee, achieved a lot, including the championship in 2021, and in general, he's the kind of guy who doesn't like noisy cities. But Giannis wants to get a second title, and the question of how competitive the current Bucks are is very important for him. Finally, the main part of the episode. Friendly games ahead of EuroBasket start now. And Finland's Lauri Markkanen wasted no time breaking his national team scoring record, dropping 48 points in 25 minutes against Belgium, emphasize numbers, missing key players like Tumani Kamara. He shot 17 of 24 from the field, hit 7 threes, grabbed 9 rebounds, and threw down some big dunks. He's definitely a top 10 star to watch at EuroBasket, and will try to lead Finland out of the group stage. Another guy aiming for MVP and gold, Nikola Jokić. Serbia has already played 2 friendlies, winning both in blowouts. The second was against Greece, without Giannis. So, not much of a contest. Jokić is averaging over 20 points, 19 rebounds, and nearly 7 assists, casually reminding everyone he's the best in the world. And then there's his main rival for that title, Luka Dončić, who played his first game in 4 months against Germany. He had 19 points and 5 assists in just over 20 minutes, looking great. But Slovenia's overall roster is a concern, especially their big men, so it'll be tough to fight for medals. Still, with Luka's talent, anything's possible. Personally, my EuroBasket favorites are Serbia and Germany, the deepest, most balanced squads. Serbia has the most NBA players participating in the tournament, and it's been over 20 years since they've won EuroBasket. Now's the time. With Jokić, Bogdanović, Jovic, Topic, and Alexa Avramovic fresh from the Paris Olympics, we'll be following closely and cheering, starting August 27th. Who do you have winning this year's EuroBasket? And what about the other stories we covered? Drop your thoughts in the comments below.